Hello and welcome to the SEO Friday Show on Wednesday with Barry Schwartz, eminent SEO reporter. He goes to all the conferences. He knows all the people. And me, Josh Bachynski, SEO ethicist and bad boy and thorn in Matt Cut's side and various other Google employees, whoever might pay attention to me or might not. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, Barry. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm just curious. What was the introduction specifically around being a thorn in Matt Cutts' side?
Actually, I'm probably not a thorn in his side anymore because I'm quite positive he's muted me on Twitter. So I'm not a thorn in his side no longer, almost certainly. Although I do agree with him that you definitely should get out and exercise more. That'd be a good thing to do, a healthy thing to do. And clearly you're wrong because you don't do it. Okay, so this week, this is just so everyone knows what the show is. It's the SEO Friday Show where we discuss and debate various issues and topics. We'll often play devil's advocate. So, and this ain't your grandma's HOA. So we might get a little heated and debate things, and we might debate things that we don't even believe in just for the sake of discussion. So with that preamble out of the way, this week, unless Barry wants to talk about something else, I want to talk about something very close to my heart, and that is SEO ethics. You knew I was going to say that.
What else is there? There's nothing else to talk about. So.
Well, there's lots to talk about. We could talk about the Ukraine. We could talk about President Obama, how well he's doing or not. But anyway, so it's been said in the past that I have a one-track mind, that I'm constantly, always in the SEO industry talking about how Google is doing unethical things. But I do not ever take the view from the other way around and talk about how some SEOs might be, heaven forbid, doing some unethical things. In fact, it was Sasha Mayer, if I recall correctly, who leveled this critique against me in one hangout. And so, just for Sasha Mayer, this week I'm going to endear myself to more people in the SEO industry. I'm going to make more friends for conferences and become even more of a pariah. And I'm going to talk about SEO charlatans and SEOs selling snake oil and all that kind of stuff. What do you think about that, Barry?
Let's go for it.
All right. Well, what do I mean by SEO charlatans? Well, I'm going to postulate a hypothesis. I'm going to postulate the hypothesis that certain tactics in the SEO industry do not help in any way, shape, or form. And I don't mean the ones that everyone knows about, like don't buy black hat links, don't keyword stuff to try and rank higher. Although there's still occasionally a couple people in the Philippines somewhere who still have their email marketing going, trying to sell this stuff. However, pretty much everyone knows that this is not going to help you rank very well. However, there are other tactics that so-called white hat SEOs like to try and sell as a consulting package or sell as a service, or even perhaps might put into their educational marketing. And this is stuff like selling services like link-based services, such as using the disavow file preemptively, or trying to go and use a disavow file for something like the unnatural link notice versus links. I argue that this is unethical, this is immoral, this is nothing but SEO snake oil, this is nothing but factoring into Google's fear-mongering and their state of their culture of totalitarian fear. I like that one for a catchphrase. And I think, go ahead.
So the SEO is charging clients to disavow links.
Yeah.
The unethical part.
Yeah, and let me tell you why. It's because I don't think there's any evidence out there, any conclusive evidence out there, that the disavow file does anything at all. It does nothing at all. I have various confirmations from John Mueller that it doesn't do anything at all. And I've never been able to replicate.
You can't say you have confirmations from John Mueller without giving a source for that specifically. When did John Mueller ever say that?
I just did. You
When
mean
did
you prefer if I
he
gave
say
a
that?
source?
Give me a
Well, I could look through my notes and find where he said numerous times. For example, I recently asked him about negative SEO. And I had a friend who has a very large e-commerce site who regularly gets negative SEO in forms of links sent at him. And so he disavows the links, and he claims his ranking gets better in a few days. And so this was contradictory to all of my scientific experimentation of me trying to do the same. And so I asked John Mueller if this is how, and I didn't think this is how the disavow file worked. And so I asked John Mueller, is this how the disavow file worked? And he said no. He said it doesn't work this way. Also, this recent debacle about how people have misread John Mueller's tweet. Some people, that it runs continuously. I don't think that's what John Mueller meant. It's English as a second language problem here. All he was saying is that you can transfer from the HTTP site to the HTTPS site, and that yes, they will read the disavow file. He did not, I don't think, meant to connote in that tweet that therefore, because this is what people are doing, and I don't necessarily mean you, Barry, because you don't sell SEO services, but a lot of people are taking that tweet and saying, look, so you should hire us to fill up your disavow file with all these bad links before Penguin comes out. This is nothing more, this is at best useless, because I think the disavow file only works in two very specific circumstances. One, if they remember to use it in Penguin, and I don't think they're going to. And two, if you have an unnatural link notice versus the site. There it definitely works, but only in both cases if you've gone and deleted the majority of your links. Google has specifically said they will not let a site up if they have not gone and deleted the majority of the links, and then maybe, if they remember to use it, if they care, if you have a few other links you couldn't get to in the disavow file, maybe they'll let you go. I think that is the what's going on with the disavow file, and I don't think there's enough evidence to suggest that it does anything. In fact, if it does do something, if the disavow file works like a robot's text file, where you put links in there and it removes it from your link graph and you lose that link juice, then at worst what's going to happen is if you put too much links in there, you're just going to de-rank yourself. So I think it's at best useless and wasting clients' money, and at worst is actually going to hurt them.
Specifically the disavow, but not the process of removing links without the disavow.
Well, obviously if you go and delete your links, I mean, that's a whole other thing entirely, right? If you go and start blowing holes in your link graph, then you are definitely going to de-rank yourself.
Do you think there's a need?
You're going to get some good links in there. Sorry, Barry, go ahead.
Do you think there's a need for SEOs to clean up people's link profiles?
Yes, under very specific circumstances. Only after here's the point. It's an exercise in risk mitigation, and I don't think a lot of my fellow SEO consultants know about risk mitigation or care to follow it as an ethical principle. It's risky. It's far too risky to go deleting any backlinks unless you've received the unnatural link notice versus site. Then, and only then, I mean, then you have a penalty on the site. You have no choice but to go delete links, or they will never remove that penalty, whether you use the disavow file or not. If you don't delete any links, they probably won't remove the penalty unless you're really good at convincing them that it was a mistake and you're not going to do it again, and they believe all that good faith stuff. While I'm mentioning the natural link notice versus site, there's also people who are going and telling other people that if you receive the unnatural link notice versus links, that you have to do anything. This I have to disagree with entirely. However well-intentioned some of these nice SEOs are, and I personally, I know of some of them fairly well, I believe it's unethical to do that, either accidentally or on purpose, because I don't think it's doing anything. Google has already, if you read the unnatural link notice versus links, Google has already decided what links they think are suspect, whether you made them or not, which is another issue, and they've removed those links from your link graph. So for you to go and delete more links, there's no penalty on the site, so there's no reason to go delete more links. They're just warning you, hey, we found some suspect links, we've removed them from your link graph, essentially don't do that again. Yes, of course, they say you can submit links to your disavow file, and yes, of course, they say you can submit for reconsideration, but that is only for Google's machine learning, and is only for Google's benefit. It will not help the site rank at all.
All right, but also with Penguin, which obviously has to be refreshed, rerun for it to happen. Should SEOs, when they get hired, investigate the website to see, one, if it has any Penguin issues, and if not, is there any potential Penguin issues in the future, specifically around their link graph? And if so, should they consider removing those links as best as they can, and anything they cannot remove uses disavow, or no?
Are you saying that that would be the ethical thing to do?
Would that be the ethical thing to do? In that case, to use the disavow file.
Well, what is your view?
My view, I do agree.
What position in this debate will you take?
So it's interesting. So I get people complaining to me all the time. My site no longer ranks. I use disavow. I'm like, all right, you just use this disavow. You have no proof that it's a link penalty, and you're just disavowing all the links that you don't want to your website, which is pushing your ranking, which was here after the penalty you got. Maybe you got a penalty, went to here, and now you're actually down to here because you disavowed a lot of links. Great, you didn't help yourself. But there are some people that it will help to do that. So you have to obviously do the analysis to actually figure out, will removing links, you're not going to go back up to here, your original place, but will it bring you back up to maybe over here as opposed to over here? And that's something that an SEO expert like yourself and the people hopefully listening to this would be able to figure out. To say, hey, using, removing links and using this disavow file for the links I cannot remove is one of those things that I have to do. So I don't think using the disavow, the whole premise behind this whole conversation was saying using the disavow and selling the disavow service is unethical and immoral for SEOs to do. I don't know if that's the case per se, because there are very valid cases to use the disavow file. I agree with you. It probably should be a very limited use. I think using it after the fact is not always as good as using it before, because I think, if you're actually following the latest links that Google, shows you in the Google Webmaster Tools, and you see links that really look bad, and you really think they're not going to actually do well for you, then I think disavowing them is going to have no impact in a negative fashion. It might go ahead and say, all right, you're not going to get hurt in the future. So if these links aren't going to help you, they seem like really sketchy links. I agree that anything new going forward, you should definitely probably look to disavow if you're confident those are links you don't want to your website. I don't know if you should necessarily sell that. I think anybody with 2 eyes or even 1 eye could actually do that themselves. But again, if people don't have the time, they can definitely hire people to do that themselves. So I don't think using the disavow file in general is an unethical thing. Selling it, I think it's all about a matter of time. Like, do I want to clean my office? I could do it, but should I hire somebody to do it? You
better hire someone to do it. It's looking pretty messy back there.
It's actually not so bad. I'm a pretty clean guy. I might not, exercise much, but it's pretty clean office. So I don't think that. I don't think that at all. I disagree with you on the whole unethics of selling. I think people maybe push it too much. Like with anything they sell, you can sell a car. You might sell somebody a car that they don't need, or you might sell somebody the stuff they don't need. 100%. That happens all the time. I just got a phone call from PayPal. They have a credit division. They say, we want to give you a loan. They call me once a week, and I say, I don't need your money. Thank God I have money in the bank. I don't want a loan. And they call every week, and it's the same person that calls. And this time I transfer them to Lenny. And they had a 7.5-minute conversation.
So Lenny is now signed up for a PayPal credit card. You're paying for this now. Lenny is buying shoes and stuff.
Yeah, they actually just had a 7.5-minute conversation with Lenny, so I'm pretty happy now.
Well, Barry, I would agree with you if I thought that's the way the disavow file worked. I don't think there's enough evidence to say that's the way the disavow file worked. I don't think you can actually put links in your disavow file preemptively for Penguin, because Google has specifically said that you have to delete your links for Penguin.
No.
So they don't want black hats to be able to just put links in the disavow file and then be able to get off scot-free. Not only that, but if you were able to use the disavow file for Penguin, then it would have released Penguin months ago to control that spam. The reason why they haven't released Penguin, as I learned recently with my conversation with Matt Cutts, is because they cannot control the negative SEO aspect of Penguin. They can't tell the difference in Penguin between when you bought spammy links or someone else bought spammy links for you. All they can see are spammy links. It doesn't matter who bought it. So if you could just take the disavow file and get yourself scot-free out of those kind of scenarios, they would have released Penguin a long time ago because they wouldn't have to have worried about negative SEO. So I don't think that there's enough evidence to suggest the disavow file does that. So let me tell you what instead I would suggest they do.
I need to say I do disagree. I think the disavow file is part of the process with the Penguin algorithm. Obviously, the Penguin algorithm hasn't run in about 11.5 months, so it's hard to say. But I do believe Google has said it will help with the Penguin algorithm.
Yeah, Matt Cutts tweeted me twice and said it will. John Mueller has said that yes, there's nothing wrong with putting links in disavow file, and that yes, the disavow file can help with Penguin. But he's also said that you have to go and delete the majority of your links so you'll never get out. And he's also said that that's only if the manual team, that's only if the programmers remember to use the Penguin data use the disavow data in the next version of Penguin. And there's no guarantee they're going to do that because again, then anyone can get out of it scot-free. I hope it works that way, and as soon as it does work that way, and we can confirm it works that way, then I will change my tune entirely, and it might even be a service I offer because it'll be a useful service. Instead of selling people a service that there's no guarantee it works at all, it's like saying let's pray to the great spaghetti monster and maybe your rankings will get better. I mean that would help just about as much. Instead of that, why don't you sell them a new design, which there's lots of evidence that suggests will improve your rankings, or improve the user interface, or not keyword stuff anymore, or do all these different, or fix the panda on their site, or I'll do all these other kinds of things that you know will help them rank better, or at least there's more evidence that will suggest will help them rank better, than sell them some disavow solution with some poorly chosen links that at best will probably do nothing, and at worst could actually hurt them.
Well, honestly, I think all of SEO is all unethical to sell in general because, again, I think a quality web development and design team should be able to build out a structure that is fundamentally sound enough for anybody who really understands their own business should be able to actually build the content either through processes in the company that automatically help them build content or by them writing content themselves and getting enough attention themselves to properly, get the traffic they need. So again, it all comes down to a matter of time, cleaning your office or not. But if people have the time, I think the best person to do the SEO tasks are the people who actually are running the company, that understand the business and are able to write and provide tools and insights that nobody else can, especially that in SEO. The SEO that can't do that. So again, there's ways to facilitate that through the development of the software and the design, the app, and the website you're building. And then there's obviously things you can do to boost that even more. But yeah, I figure SEOs, including yourself, are unethical.
Are you saying that so SEO is superfluous? Is this your argument that if you build the site properly, SEO doesn't even need to be done?
In many cases, yes.
So you don't think an SEO would be useful in first selecting the keywords and the topics that people are searching for, one, and or three, helping with marketing the site and branding the site and getting traffic to the site?
I think a person who really understands his customer, his business, probably knows what the customer is looking for, or should know what the customer is looking for versus what they're selling. So if they're selling some very technical object, I think they better understand what the customer is looking for in Google to find their technical product as opposed to them just optimizing for the technical name of the product. And if they don't, then they don't really understand their customer, and they're not really satisfying their customer needs as they should be.
I would agree with you to some extent. I think there's one problem with that is quite often what I see in my client sites is that they just have their sales blinders on. They just want to, like the car sales you're talking about before, they just want to sell. They know kind of what their sales value propositions are on various products, but they don't understand their customer, or they don't care about their customer, or they don't care about tailoring a presentation on their website for the customer. All they want to do is push more widgets and products and put bigger buy now buttons to try to increase conversions. And of course, just people don't want to be sold to at all. And so there's a way to make that palatable, whether or not the CEO of the company whether he or she knows how to do this.
Meanwhile, somebody from France is trying to really take down my sites. So if you could work on that, please.
Oh, are you saying I'm trying to take down your site?
You're not in France, although Canadians and French people are kind of like that.
Oui, oui. Je suis Canadien.
So I sent you the IP address. Work on that while you're chatting with me.
Okay. So, well, this has been the 20 minutes of the SEO Friday show on Wednesday. I don't know why it's called that, because it's hump day. That's the reason why. Barry, do you have any final thoughts before we sign off?
Final thoughts. No, I mean, again, just for anybody watching for the first time, they should know a lot of this is just sarcasm, and I apologize for all the ringing in the background. Like I said, somebody's messing around with our servers, and customers are not happy right now, but we think we fixed it. So anyway, again, just keep in mind, most of the stuff is sarcasm.
I think that's all the calls for Lenny. I think Lenny's made some friends. That might be his credit card bill. The creditor's calling for him to pay it. So you made a mistake giving Lenny a credit card, Matt.
Could be worse.
All right, well, thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for participating, Barry. Again, my name is Josh Bachynski, and this has been the SEO Friday show on Wednesday. We hope to do this on a semi-weekly basis, maybe every couple weeks. Check in next week, where I will slag off someone else and make even more friends in the SEO community. Say bye, Barry.
Bye, Barry.
All right, bye-bye.